I'm here in the foyer of the House of Commons. It is now a few hours before Mr. Flaherty is going to bring down his federal budget. And this place, which is normally where you see the scrums outside the House of Commons after question period, is generally a big expanse of marble flooring, and normally it's pretty empty except for a bunch of people standing around and a few cameras. But take a look at it today. Bruce, pan around a little bit. Take a look at what we've got here. We have full-fledged studios that have been built here in this space. And all of this stuff really appeared overnight. Now, when you're watching your TV coverage today, you'll see that this is divided into various sets, and they've marked them down here as TVA, which is one of the French networks. Over here is Société Radio Canada, which is the French CBC. Next door to that, we've got the CBC main desk here. You'll see Don Newman and Peter Mansbridge, who will be here this afternoon. Next door, this is the CTV set. Here, Lloyd Robertson, Mike Duffy will probably be anchoring this particular area. Chum, hey, the guys from Chum are a bunch of slackers. They haven't set up yet, but I'm sure they will in the next little while. Anyway, all of this is fairly elaborate. And, of course, it is going to become the nerve center of Canadian broadcasting this afternoon. And it's quite amazing that all of this gear gets hauled in over the weekend, set up on Sunday, massive amounts of power coming in here. And, of course, the House of Commons itself is all lit up. Now, what is going to happen at 4 o'clock is Mr. Flaherty is going to be in the House, start reading his budget. About 10 minutes after 4, if not a bit sooner, people will start streaming out here to give a reaction. We're expecting that some of the first people off the mark will be Jack Layton, the NDP leader, and Gilles Duceppe. Now, it's very important what these guys have to say, because Mr. Harper can only get his budget passed with the support of the Bloc or the NDP. That's a part whether the Liberals support it or not, because the Conservatives plus one of those smaller opposition parties is enough to get this budget passed. Then we'll probably hear from Mr. Dion, and he will decide whether the Liberals are going to support this budget or whether they're going to oppose it. And he's a fairly reasoned guy, and I know he wants to weigh the measures that are in the budget before he responds. But it will be interesting because he'll be responding probably, I'm not sure, but probably after you've heard from Mr. Layton or Mr. Duceppe. So it's going to make quite the little drama here this afternoon. Because if perchance the NDP or the Bloc say, you know what, we're not going to support this thing, then it rests upon the shoulders of Mr. Dion to understand and let us know whether he's going to trigger the government to fall or not and cause an election. That, of course, is what's on everybody's mind. And also, it's interesting to note that many people believe the budget is just one small part of what is going to happen in a train of events to take place over the next 7 or 10 days here in Parliament that ultimately end up causing an election. It may be on a number of bills. There's a bill coming up on minimum mandatory sentences. That's rather controversial. There's a bill on replacement workers. That's controversial. And then, of course, we might have something coming in on Kyoto and the environment. Anyway, it all starts this afternoon. And it seems like the train has left the station. It seems like everybody here is convinced now that there is going to be a federal election. It may well be triggered by this budget, or it may happen for another reason, but probably that also will take place very soon, and maybe no later than next Thursday or Friday. Not this week, but the week after, because Parliament is then scheduled to go on an Easter break after that time. But as I say, all starts here around 4 o'clock. MPtv will be back later to bring you some coverage of the chaos that is going to envelop this particular space in a few hours. We'll talk to some of the key players, and in the meantime, on the blog, of course, we'll give you the highlights of the budget. I'll give you some thoughts on whether it's a good budget, a bad budget, what the opposition may do, and how that election train is all fueled up and at the station. All right, so we'll see you back here in a bit.